Conservative and media viewers, JLin fans around the world, what's up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss Brooklyn's 129-109 defeat last night to the Denver Nuggets in Denver, Colorado. Brooklyn falls to 9-48 on the season. Denver improves to 26-32 as they chase the 8th and final playoff seed in the Western Conference. Now, before I talk about this game, let me discuss the moves that the Brooklyn Nets made at the trading deadline, and that is acquiring KJ McDaniels from the Houston Rockets and acquiring and keeping Andrew Nicholson from the Washington Wizards. They got rid of Chris McCullough and Bojan Bogdanovic to the Washington Wizards. They also received Marcus Thornton in that trade, but they elected to waive Marcus Thornton, which means he is no longer with the team. The quick read on the trades is obviously the Nets lose some shooting with Bojan. However, they get a little more depth in getting both McDaniels and Nicholson, and they get more athleticism. So I actually think it was a pretty decent move. Bojan is a terrific shooter. He's not super athletic, and I mean, it hurts a little bit in terms of scoring and shooting, but I'm okay with this. I'm actually pretty much okay with the move. I think the team needs to get more athletic going forward. Nicholson is a power forward / center, probably more suited to playing power forward. He's about 6 foot 8.5 barefoot, which is, you can play center at that height. It's a little bit short to play center, a little bit short. I mean, he could play it if he wanted to, but it's better suited for a big power forward. KJ McDaniels, I cannot remember his height. He is a shooting guard / small forward. McDaniels is a very athletic guy who hasn't quite panned out the way that people thought he was going to pan out. He doesn't shoot the ball extremely well. Nicholson is a former relatively high pick, I think a first-round pick. He also hasn't panned out the way people thought he was going to pan out. He has a pretty good skill level. He's not a great shooter, but I know that GM Sean Marks feels that he is a good, quote-unquote, system fit for the team, meaning that he fits well with the offense that they run. Neither of those two players played in the game last night. I don't know if they were both with the team. I believe Nicholson was. I don't know if McDaniels was or not. So overall, like I said, you're trading shooting and a little bit of scoring for more depth, because now you have two guys rather than one guy, and a more athleticism. And the way that the Nets play, and because they rely so much on depth, I think it can work. We're just going to have to see how McDaniels and Nicholson look. We're just going to have to see. Hopefully they turn out well and kind of pan out for the team. But I feel pretty good about those moves, actually. I feel pretty good about that, even though you hate to lose a boy on shooting. But like we've said, the team needs more athletes. They still need more athletes even after doing this move. There's still a little bit of a scarcity of athleticism on this team. And they're going to have to keep improving that. And they will as the time come. Of course, this is year number 1 or year 0 of the rebuild, so you're not going to get everything all at once. Now, as you can hear, I'm a bit under the weather. Sorry about the delay. I hope to be able to do a video for tonight's game against the Warriors. Maybe I'll have to do what I did now, which is wait until the following day to make it, just because these are late night games here on the East Coast, and the way that I'm feeling, might just need to kind of go to bed and then wake up and do it. We'll see. Okay, let's talk about the game itself. Now, this game, of course, was the return of JLin for the first time playing on the team since December 26th, when he suffered his second hamstring injury of the season, which would then become the third hamstring injury for him while he was rehabilitating his leg after that second injury. What happened in the game was that Brooklyn played a pretty good offensive game. The main problem for them offensively in this game was they turned the ball over too many times. And they also didn't shoot well enough from the free throw line. They only shot 55% from the free throw line, which is really poor. They had 27 assists, but they also had 19 turnovers, which is too many. Excellent number of assists. That's fantastic. Too many turnovers. You must shoot better from the free throw line. I think what happens in the Nets is, you see this around the All-Star break all the time. Right before the All-Star break happens and then right after it happens, teams sometimes aren't totally focused. They either want to go on vacation early or they're not really back from vacation yet when the All-Star game break ends. Maybe the Nets weren't totally focused for this game. Denver was very focused for this game because they played last night and they got beaten soundly in Sacramento. And the Nuggets are playing for something. They have a very real chance to get the 8th spot in the Western Conference playoffs. And now, with New Orleans getting DeMarcus Cousins, the Nuggets are likely to have a fight for the 8th spot. So they were very much on point tonight or last night, and it showed. Denver shot the ball well. So the Nets played a pretty good offensive game. They shot 49% from the field. They had 27 assists. They just didn't shoot free throws well enough, and they had too many turnovers, and their defense wasn't good enough. Denver shot 51% from the field. They shot 45% from three. They out-rebounded the Nets. And look, the Nets' real Achilles heel, their real weakness, is their defense. That is their core weakness. It does have something to do with their athleticism. It also has something to do with the new head coach and the new system and guys playing with each other for the first time, new chemistry. And all of those things are going to have to be addressed and kind of worked on over the summer. Do you change your personnel? Maybe you alter your defensive system a little bit. You guys will continue to build chemistry as they get to know each other better and so forth. But the way that the Nets play is they play to outrun you and outscore you. And they're pretty good at scoring, but they need to get better at defending. And that's their weakness, and Denver was able to exploit it in this game. Let's talk about Jeremy. Let's go over his stat line. 15 minutes played, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 2 of 3 from the field, including 1 of 1 from three-point range, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 0 steals, 0 block shots, 1 turnover, 2 personal fouls. Jeremy's plus-minus was a -10. I thought Jeremy looked quite good in this game. The only mistake that he made was the 1 turnover. He was trapped when he was dribbling on the left side of the court. I think it was coming off a pick and roll. And he wanted to split the trap, meaning he wanted to dribble between the two men and get out of the trap. When he went to do that, he lost his dribble and the ball was stolen. Really, besides that, I mean, he pretty much didn't make any mistakes. He missed 1 shot. He missed a shot short. He was coming in transition. He put the shot up and it was short. But for a guy that's been out for 6 weeks or whatever, I thought he looked pretty good. He would have played 20 minutes in this game if the game had been closer. Coach Atkinson played him 5 minutes in each quarter for the first 3 quarters, and he did not put him back into the game because it was a blowout in the 4th quarter, and might as well just rest Jeremy at that point. Plus, you have a back-to-back game coming up tonight, so just keep him fresh for that. Like I said, look, Jeremy is at where he's at overall in his development. He's still working to get that shot locked in, although it looked very good earlier in the season, but that's only going to be proven over 40 or 50 games. He just, because of his injuries, he hasn't had a chance to really demonstrate that for himself over this season. He still wants to tighten up his ball handling a little bit. That's still a bit of a weakness for him at times. And he's still working on those one-on-one isolation offensive perimeter moves. So every player can improve. Every player can get better at something. I mean, if I was coaching LeBron James, I'd say, hey, LeBron, you got a pretty good hook shot. Work on it some more so that we can put you down in the low post and you can just dominate in the low post even more than you already do. So when I say that Jeremy has things to work on, every player has things to work on. I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying because we watch him, this is what we notice with him. He does want to, I think the shot and the shot form is definitely, obviously, it's much, much improved. Just wants to keep just playing out the string, just like I said, demonstrate it. Tightening up the handle will help him more. Just in his all the way around, including in his drives to the basket. And obviously, the more that he can be a good one-on-one option, an isolation scoring option, the more that he can score, the more that he can be kind of the go-to player for the team. The best thing about Jeremy tonight was the 5 assists and 1 turnover. I mean, 5-to-1 ratio, that's fantastic, particularly for a player who just came back. It was great. What was interesting in this game was that Spencer Dinwiddie was used as the backup point guard, and Isaiah Whitehead was the third point guard. However, Coach Atkinson continues to experiment with the roster. What he is doing is, somebody asked me on Twitter, okay, can the team play to win now? They don't have to tank, right? They can play to win, and that is correct because they don't have their own first-round pick this year. So it doesn't matter how well if they finish great, it doesn't hurt them any. Okay? However, what they're doing is they're evaluating the roster. They're trying to see, are we going to keep this guy? Are we going to keep that guy? And so they're evaluating individual talent of each player. They're also evaluating lineups. Does this guy work better as a starter, or does he work better coming off the bench? Is Isaiah Whitehead better as the second point guard, or is he better as the third point guard? Now, on most teams, if you're the third point guard, you're not going to play. However, Coach Atkinson, and this is very consistent for him, he plays 11 men. What that means is you play all of your first string, your starters, you play all of your second string, which is 10 men then, and you play one more man from the third string. The 11th man in this game was Isaiah Whitehead. So if you're a third string guy in the Nets, you still might play a fair amount. And if you play for the Nets, you're going to play a decent number of minutes. You're probably going to play at least 16, 17, 18 minutes. So it's like, again, it's the strategy that the Nets use. We're going to play a lot of guys. We're going to try to wear you down. We're going to try to take advantage of you when you're playing your bench and we're playing ours, and so forth. So it does matter. Even the third stringers matter on this team. And that's another reason why you get guys like KJ McDaniels and Andrew Nicholson. You need that third string player to be able to play. And what they want to do now is, can these guys play? Can these guys help us like Quincy Acey has helped us? We want to find that out. And that's what the rest of this year is going to be. Let's try it out. Let's try out different lineups. Let's try out different guys. Let's see what we have. Then we go into the off season and so forth. Also, I should say, and I should have said this previously, in the trade for Boyan, the Nets received the Wizards' first-round pick for this year, I believe. I think it might be conditional pick, meaning that if it's in a certain zone, they don't get it. But that's very important. And the reason that's important is the Nets lack picks for the next several years. They lack assets. And so they're trying to acquire assets so that they're not sitting on the sidelines during the draft. They want to be able to acquire talent. And that's a really important thing of what they did in making the trade with Boyan. Okay, so look, the only player who did not play or who was not healthy to play in this game was Quincy Acey, who was still nursing the ankle injury. Somebody said, I think it was on Nets Daily, the Nets have never had a completely healthy roster this entire season, meaning somebody's been on the injury report. At least one person's been on their injury report every single game. Hopefully the Nets can get and remain healthy as the season winds up here, and we certainly hope that for Jeremy. But look, as we've said many times during this season, this is as bad as it's going to get. Things were worse this year, significantly worse, because Jeremy got hurt. I mean, it's one of their main guys, and he got hurt. You're not going to be able to do everything. However, that did help guys like Isaiah Whitehead and Karis LeVert develop quicker, and you got more of a chance to look at the rest of the roster. You got more of a chance to examine individual talent than you would have otherwise. Also, there was a lot of speculation that Brook was going to get traded at the deadline, and I think one of the reasons that he didn't get traded was because they haven't had enough of a chance to see how he and Jeremy play together. In other words, is this something we want to build around? Can those two guys really work well together? And if they can, then we don't want to get rid of Brook necessarily. And so I think part of not getting rid of him at the trade deadline was, let's see it. Let's give him more of a chance because Jeremy hasn't been healthy this whole season. Let's see what we got a little bit more before we decide to get rid of or keep Brook, which could happen this summer. So these last 25 games or so, it's just an audition for everybody and experimentation. And again, for Coach Atkinson to continue to learn during his rookie season as well. That's pretty much it. Look, it was a tough loss. They said during the broadcast that the Nets coming into the Denver game had set a record for 9 consecutive losses by single digits. So as we said, they've been competitive in a lot of these games. Now, it's true, as someone said to me on YouTube, it is true that it could be a blowout, and then the other team lets up, and then the Nets kind of come back in the end, and it seems close even though it wasn't close. That's true. But most of these games have been pretty competitive. They have been relatively competitive, and that's the way the Nets play. They play to beat you with their second unit. They play to wear you down over the course of the game. So it's not really surprising that they come back at the end. However, last night's game was a 20-point loss, so it was kind of frustrating, and we've seen I think 14 losses in a row. It does get a bit old, but again, this is the finale or the last stretch of this really difficult year one process. So we just hope, as Jeremy fans, that he can stay healthy for the rest of the season, and that we can start seeing KJ McDaniels and Andrew Nicholson a little bit, and let's see what we got, and hopefully we can get some wins and just go from there. And I think that's again, we have to keep realistic expectations and kind of know where things are at right now. That's all I have to say about last night's game. So let's talk about tonight's game coming up. A game will take place in Oakland, California tonight, Saturday, February 25th, 2017, against the league-leading Golden State Warriors, who are the best team in the league. They have the best record. They are exceptionally good. They're setting records in terms of certain advanced statistics as a team. Obviously, it's going to be a very difficult game. I'm sure the Warriors are favored by 15 or more points. I'd have to look that up. The game will take place at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States. Look, it's going to be a tough game. You can expect that, obviously Golden State's heavily favored to win. What I'm looking for tonight is I hope Jeremy can play at least 20 minutes if they feel comfortable playing him. That coming on the back-to-back with him just returning from the injury. And let's try to make it competitive as we can. We were very competitive against Golden State in the first half when the two teams met in Brooklyn earlier in this season, and hopefully the Nets can kind of do something like that tonight. And that's what I'm looking for. Obviously, the Warriors want to secure as many wins as they can, shore up the number one seed. They're like 4 games over the Spurs in the Western Conference. But, it's you get a kind of a chance to look at what you're competing against, what you're trying to emulate tonight when you play the Warriors. So that will be taking place tonight. Again, I didn't do Twitter last night because I just didn't during the games. I just didn't feel that well. I don't know if I'll be doing Twitter tonight. And like I said, I just have to see with the video in terms of how I'm feeling and everything. If I can, I'll make it right after the game. If I can't, then I'll probably make it in the morning, Sunday morning here in the United States. We'll just see. Okay, that is it for now. Hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care, and tonight in, I don't know, about 13 hours from now, Brooklyn Nets travel to Oakland, California to take on the Golden State Warriors.